So September has come and gone, and September was the month we were all watching the media. Besides the global news and what's going on in Greece and in other places in the world, we suddenly found that the rand actually collapsed in the month of September. And if you remember, in July the rand was trading at around about 6 to the dollar, and we were slid all the way down to over 8 rand to the dollar. And that of course has had a material impact on the economy. We spoke in last month's vlog about Governor of the Reserve Bank, Joel Marcus, dropping interest rates. Certainly the outlook is now not looking like an interest rate drop, but we may well be in a very low interest rate environment, but there's not going to be any drop in interest rates. And that has really created a scenario where, whilst investors know that interest rates are quite stable, there hasn't really been a feeling that we're going into a low interest rate environment. And so, of course, when September rolled along, again, watching world events, watching what was happening globally in the economy, as a company, we were concerned that investor sentiment would be skittish. And that's the beauty about auctions. Auctions really reflect investor sentiment. I've been saying this for the last 20 years, that auctions are the stock market. They're the stock market of assets. And when one looks at asset prices across the board, there is no finer mechanism, because it's the real market in action. And when the beginning of the month arrived, we started asking ourselves the question, well, what is that stock market going to say? And we started our auctions across the country. We started the first auction in the Western Cape, and that was an interesting auction. We found it quite tough going. One of the more interesting sales of the day was an apartment, in fact, in Clifton. The apartment was sold and confirmed at 25 million rand, a very luxurious apartment right on First Beach, Clifton. We had a couple of other transactions. The interesting auction in September was of the Galleria Centre. And there again, you know, we've been saying it for a while, in this market, properties which are well let, and there we had Shoprite Checkers as a tenant, would be attracting large demand. And so it did. We had investors from across the country. We had over 12 registered buyers for that particular auction. We had several listed property funds who were bidding, and it got knocked down for 36 million rand, later to be negotiated 42 million rand. So that really shows there is still strong demand for retail centres with anchor tenants. That being said, my overall sentiment at the Cape Town auction wasn't of joyous optimism. And that rolled us into the next day. We moved along into Johannesburg. Now, some of the interesting transactions that happened there was a large development piece of land on the West Rand, right next to the MTN head office, and that was sold and confirmed at 85 million rand. Again, one of the larger transactions this year, which was really an exciting deal for us. In Johannesburg as well, we sold a couple of other interesting transactions. There was an industrial facility in Benoni for 4 million rand. We sold a lodge, still interest in lodges, for 5.6 million rand. And then, of course, the big one of the day in Johannesburg was a property along Rivonia Road, which was sold and confirmed at 44.5 million rand. Another nice record and another high value transaction. Block of flats in Braamfontein at 5.5 million rand. Another industrial facility in Stanger in Durban, which rolled on to the next day at 2.7 million rand. Other interesting transactions this month, we were down in the Garden Route in George, and we're starting our George multiple auctions very shortly. In George, we sold an entire portfolio of hotels. There was a couple of hotels, one being the Riviera Inn, the Garden Route Boutique Hotel, as well as the Boerland Park Hotels, and the entire portfolio was just sold short of 44 million rand. So lots of big transactions happening down there in the Southern Cape. So in essence, my feeling on September was a pretty good month from an auction alliance perspective. We in certain sectors of the business, we overshot our targets. In other sectors, markets were generally down. Agricultural system seems to be going well. Apartment blocks strong. The commercial sector okay. Residential, it's still, prices are still sliding. We're still seeing deflation in residential property, and our outlook for that sector isn't particularly strong. So where do we go? Well, we roll now into March. The third quarter of the year is coming along. Looking at our March stock levels, looking at what's happening in March, I think that again, markets will be tough, things will be tight. I don't see the global economy going anywhere at this pace. I think there'll still be a strong demand for strong commercial property. I think retail properties will still be having strong demand. I think the agricultural sector will be good. And for the rest, we'll see what happens. I'm not really holding my breath on residential property. I still think we're going to see some downward pressure on residential property prices and further developments coming along. So that's really the story for the month. And we look forward to starting the last quarter of the year.